everybody, and welcome to Los Luceros Historic Site. My name is Carlin Stewart. I'm the instructional coordinator here, and I don't have my mask on because we are not open for another 45 minutes or so, and I'm completely alone in this beautiful garden. So today, first of all, happy Mother's Day, and second of all, today we are going to talk about a garden project that we have here at Los Luceros Historic Site. I'm going to talk to you about Waffle Gardens, Three Sisters Gardens, and about a seed grant that we received from Native Seed Search. So welcome all of you viewers. If you could put in the comment where you are streaming from. I always love knowing where you guys are coming from. And I always like to introduce Los Luceros at the beginning of my videos because a lot of you guys are from out of state and have never been here. And so Los Luceros Historic Site is on 148 acres, and it is located in Alcalde, New Mexico. So Alcalde is north of Española, which is north of Santa Fe, just to give you like an idea of where we are. So the land that Los Luceros sits on has been used for gardening and farming for hundreds of years. Hello, Melissa from Grove. Hi. And again, if I see your questions pop up, I can answer them on the video. If not, I'll comment later. But so this land has been used for hundreds and hundreds of years for farming, for agriculture, starting back when indigenous people occupied this land, and they grew mainly corn, beans, squash, amaranth, cotton, those type of things. And so our garden project is really about connecting people that are here today with people of the past and through time, through gardening. And so we were lucky enough to receive a seed grant from Native Seed Search, which is an amazing organization located in Tucson, Arizona, where I'm from. So that's exciting. And we got 30 bags of seeds. Now, these bags of seeds, the grant is supposed to support local populations, people that may have ancestry to these types of plants, community projects, that type of thing. Now, due to COVID, we are still, not really allowed to do these hands-on activities yet. But so we want to get some of these crops started. And then eventually this project will turn into a hands-on activity where people can come out, school group especially, can come out, plant gardens, harvest the seeds. We want to start a seed bank, which would be amazing because all of the crops that we chose are varieties from northern New Mexico. Some that go back hundreds of years, some of the strains here are varieties. So we would love to start a seed bank for people to get seeds to grow in their own homes. We would love people to come out and create these gardens and then harvest the foods and make foods here at Los Luceros because we have a commercial kitchen. Now, those are all ideas for the future. We're not sure exactly when that is going to happen, but I wanted to introduce the gardens that we're going to start this year and the seeds that we chose. So behind me is the area that we are about to work with. And you can tell it needs a little bit of love. And so our last freeze here in northern New Mexico was, I believe, 2 weeks ago or so. So we wanted to make sure that we had a better chance of, not freezing our wonderful crops here. So that is why we are starting a little later today, May 9th. And so this garden has been kind of left alone over the winter. And so I'm going to walk you guys over, hopefully get this correct. And so you guys can see the remnants of our waffle gardens that we created last year. Eldon Vita, who was a ranger at Jemez Historic Site, built the waffle gardens over there, and he has a whole video about how he constructed that, which I can link in the comments. But we have big waffle gardens here, if you can see. They're bigger squares. And then we have smaller squares right over here. And so waffle gardens are really awesome because one, they're super critical to the history and culture of New Mexico. The waffle gardens were originally constructed by the Zuni. And so what the waffle gardens do is they, create out of mud, out of kind of adobe, so you want dirt that has a high clay content. You create little squares, and that really, hello from Miami, Arizona, Kentucky, this is great, Espanola, awesome. And so the little squares help keep the moisture in, keep the water in, and that allows different types of crops to grow that maybe wouldn't necessarily thrive in the Southwest. And so the waffle gardens are still used today by many indigenous populations. I believe that in his video, Eldon said that the Jemez Pueblo uses the waffle garden still, and I'm sure there are many groups that still use this method because it is great. So we used the waffle garden technique last year, and I mean, our crops went crazy. It also helps that the land up here is very nutrient rich. It has a lot of clay content. And so we think we're gonna have really good luck with the gardens that we're constructing this year. Now, one of the methods that we are going to use, one of the crops, is we are going to do a Three Sisters garden. Now, if you're from the Southwest, that probably sounds very, very familiar. For the Three Sisters garden was used here by the indigenous populations and has continued on through time and is still being used today. And so the Three Sisters Gardens combines the three essential crops, which is corn, beans, and squash. And the reason it's called the Three Sisters Garden is these three crops work together in a really amazing way. So you plant the corn first, and the corn grows up in stalks. Then you plant the beans a little bit later, and the beans, you know, can spiral up the corn stalks, which does a couple things. It provides stability to that corn stalk so that, you know, it doesn't fall over or, you know, go with the wind or whatever. So it provides that stability. But then the bean plants actually fix the nitrogen in the soil and provide a lot of nutrients to that soil, which of course then benefits the corn. The third crop, the squash, you plant last. And the squash provides really good ground coverage that shades the bean plants. And all of these, you know, crops provide essential nutrients for humans to consume. And so that's why it's really cool that all these three things can be grown together and then eaten together. And so we have some corn, beans, and squash from around this area. And I have the seed packets right here. I'm going to show you. So squash that we have a San Juan Pueblo, Cushaw, which we got again from our seed grant. And so we are going to have the squash, and we are going to have Nambe white corn, which is also from northern New Mexico, where Nambe is, Nambe Pueblo. And so first we're going to plant the corn, and then the beans that we have are actually just common beans, New Mexico bolitas. And so this strain really, I believe, came in mostly when the Spanish came to this area. And so we're these are the Three Sisters here. And so one resource, if you want to grow your own Three Sisters garden, is actually Native Seed Search has a cool PDF that you can download that gives you all the information you need on how to grow Three Sisters gardens. You know, it talks about that relationship that I just mentioned to you. It talks about when to plant and what varieties to plant and other sisters that can, you know, complement your garden in this way. So again, we got our grant from Native Seed Search, so they are a great research for learning about gardening in the Southwest. All right, so again, the New Mexico bolitas that we chose was grown for centuries by traditional Hispanic people of northern New Mexico. Prior to that, of course, the beans were a staple part of the indigenous Three Sisters garden with that corn and squash. Los Luceros has been home to all types of cultures and traditions, and so these beans were a principal part of Los Luceros history, and so that's really why we chose it. Plus, you know, we love beans, so it'll be really awesome that this will yield a tasty food. And again, everybody I'm sure knows what beans look like, but here are the ones that we chose. So then we also have the corn and the squash. And the San Juan Pueblo squash. So this variety is a rare plant which comes from Okayewinge. And again, that is why we really want to get local communities involved, because these plants are very critical to their traditions as well. So again, when we can, we would love this to be a very community-wide project. We also have an Eagle Scout named Noah, and they are going to construct garden beds that stand above the ground. And so it's a new method of gardening, and those will be located near the visitor center. And so you guys can see how the plants are doing when you come visit, pick some of the plants, eat them, which will be really great. But for now, until that project is completed, we will be using the space behind me. So these squash, the San Juan Pueblo squash, can grow up to 15 pounds. And since that's that area, the Okayewinge Pueblo is really close to Los Luceros, we thought that it was a vital crop to include in this project. And so a couple of the seeds that we got, we will not be able to plant this year due to timing and all that. So we did get 2 varieties of chile because, of course, chile is vital to New Mexico and is, our major export here. And so the chili varieties that we got is the Nambe Supreme, which is from Nambe Pueblo, again, located near here. And it is a cross between native and commercial varieties. And, we were interested in choosing multiple different chiles, so it would be really fun if people could come pick them and then taste them and compare, the heat, compare the taste. And so we got those 2 varieties, the Nambe Supreme and then the San Juan variety. And it is still grown by elder farmers in Okayewinge, which is, again, located near us. And so we thought it was really important to include this crop because that tradition of chili growing is so critical to New Mexico and northern New Mexico specifically. The other plant that we will not be able to grow today is this beautiful flower, which I'll show you a picture. Here you go. So this flower is native to New Mexico, Arizona, and Texas, and it's called the fire wheel, which I am sure you can guess why. And it was chosen not only for its beauty, but also because it will attract pollinators, bees and butterflies, which would really help our garden grow. The fire wheel has to be planted in the fall, and so we won't do it this year, but next year we are really planning to make this garden project big. And so another crop that we got is the early snowball cauliflower. And that is because it is really representative of the time at Los Luceros when Mary Wheelwright and Maria Chabot lived in this area. Cauliflower was a favorite crop of Maria Chabot, who was the caretaker of this land for a long time, to grow. And, I think there's some oral tradition or oral histories that suggest, that we had a lot of cauliflower in this area. And so we wanted to make sure we included that time period too. And so just from me talking, you guys can kind of see how these crops connect us through time, through all these different cultures and traditions and the people that have touched this land. And so that is really the point of this project, is not only to, have fun, get our hands messy, eat delicious food when it comes up, but really to connect us to the people of the past and the present that are all over New Mexico. And so that's really what we're doing here. And of course, in New Mexico, in the Southwest generally, another important crop is amaranth. And so we are going to make sure that we grow amaranth. And the variety that we have is New Mexico Amaranthus hypochondriatus. And so amaranth is a really essential crop in the Southwest that has been grown here for years and years and years. It has edible leaves and seeds. This specific plant, the seeds that we got are from Rinconada, New Mexico. And so, of course, that made it a top contender for our garden here. So that is basically it. We really wanted to thank Native Seed Search for the seed grant. And like I said, we have 30 bags of seeds. And so this year, we're going to start smaller. We're going to see how these crops do in the Waffle Garden behind me and you know, see how the Three Sisters reacts to this soil. And then next year we'll make sure that this is a much bigger project and that we can get people involved, hands-on, to come build that, help us create a seed bank. And then, you know, we do have, like I said, a commercial kitchen at Los Luceros. And so we think it would be spectacular if we could go out and harvest, you know, our crops here and then go back and make traditional recipes in the kitchen here. So that's kind of the future plan here. Again, I'm just going to show you behind me for those of you just checking in. This is the space we're going to use for this garden. And you can see here that the weeds also love the Waffle Gardens because they're going crazy in these little squares. But this is a good demonstration of how well these work. So this all just popped up in the last couple weeks here. And so some of the individual crops we will plant in those little squares, and then we will do the Three Sisters garden in the big ones in the back there and see how that works. We are lucky at Los Luceros to have such plentiful soil and soil that is really rich in clay content. And that's really what you need to construct the walls of your waffle garden. So I hope you guys will follow us on this journey. I'm not a gardener, I'm an archaeologist, so I am learning all of this right alongside of you. If you guys are gardeners, you know, feel free to drop hints and tips and stuff in the comments. And we'll see how this goes, and we'll update you on the progress when everything is growing. So thank you so much. Happy Sunday, happy Mother's Day, and see you soon.